Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast. We're a Green Bay Packers fan podcast, a couple of Wisconsin guys bringing you topical and relevant Packers news, along with our most humble, subjective opinions. This is episode 262. We're recording this on a Wednesday, March 6th, 2024. The combine has concluded. The tag deadline has passed. We're a week away from the start of the league new year and free agency. That's where we come in. I'm your host, Tay, and joining me in studio tonight is our one and only
Ren. What up, Tay? How you doing? What's going on in your universe this week, Tay?
Not a whole lot on the Tay personal front. Things are warming up. It's getting nice outside, getting that spring fever going. But otherwise, I don't know, this offseason for the Packers has started to move along a little quicker than I anticipated. Usually kind of like, I got a couple, a few weeks, maybe a month downtime, but all of a sudden, dang, next week, free agency. That's, as soon as that starts, that starts to like, wane down, and then you kind of like go into this coasting free agency period
like
of 3 weeks. But
the bargain basement, the bargain hunters, but Green Bay will probably be shopping still.
Yeah.
There'll be some good vet min deals out there, Tay, when you get to the last day of March, first week of May, and that's definitely a Packer bargain hunting time. I agree with you, but no, it's been a fast offseason. We only took 1 week off, and I'm like, can we take weeks off? I don't even know if we can anymore. This stuff is just like, there's too much to talk about. We got to, it's content, right? Because we're huge out there. We got Patreons and all sorts of stuff.
We do?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Oh. I haven't seen that come in.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Dope,
I was
right?
like, Ren, have you been holding out on me? You got a Packer Universe podcast Patreon account that goes right into your own bank account.
Like, ding. Yes. I am milking all the pup list money, Tay.
Yes, that's right. I knew it. So yeah, if the 1%, of our listeners do want a Patreon, but we would have to provide extra content. And you know what? We're an equal content type of people here. We give the same content to everybody.
Bargain base. This is free, Tay.
Yes.
We do it for nothing.
That's right.
That's how much we love our Green Bay Packers, because we do this almost weekly. Now we're in episode 262. That's crazy stuff, and we've been doing it 5 years, 6 years? I don't even know anymore.
It's 2024. Take away the 7. That's like 7 years.
I haven't gotten any older. You don't look so great anymore.
Well,
but it just it is what it is.
Well, my hair's growing out. I kind of got that Kevin Green kind of hair minus the blonde. I don't even know who I would look like.
No, you're the dude meets Dave Grohl. That's
right.
what.
Yes.
That's what my cohort Tay looks like.
Yeah.
If anybody's trying to picture that, that's what the man looks like. So,
and I'll get, if I had glasses, I think I could pull off Corey Benke of Cheesehead TV. I think we have similar kind of like beard and hairstyles right now. So
you might be offended.
Probably. I'm really sorry, Corey, if you're listening to this. Shout out, but also, I do apologize because, I can't hold a candle to that, but. Yeah, I'm trying to find a local equivalent here, Ren. I don't know, so that's all I got. But Dave Grohl mixed with little Obi-Wan Kenobi from the first movie.
Which one? Hello there.
Hello there.
Yeah. You're talking
I'm talking
the old wandering Obi-Wan in the desert, circa Alec Guinness. Are we talking?
Not yet. I'm getting a little salt and pepper in my beard, but I'm thinking more episode 2, Jesus on the
mantle,
kind of thing. That's what I'm talking about.
Do you have the high ground? That's the question.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We've gone too far away from the.
Let's bring her back, Ren. This offseason has gone pretty quick, and things are starting to heat up a little bit. They've kind of heated up this week with a bunch of. Since last week, there's a bunch of people that got released or are promised to be released, right? So we know these things. We know players are being released, and all of a sudden things start to get interesting now because now you know what you're playing with. Like all the cards are starting to get dealt out, right?
Yesterday's deadline spurred some action.
So
we started to see
deadline.
this tag and transition tag. There was actually one of those used this year, which is not a common thing, but definitely starts to kind of settle that market with what's upcoming, guys that may actually hit the free agent market. That is not to say before we touch base on some of these guys, which we obviously are, that there still couldn't be a deal worked out with said player and team prior to the actual league year starting next week.
Right.
So that could still happen as well, where somebody's like, hey, we didn't get the tag. We'd still like to keep you. Let's work it out. You know, that stuff could still happen. Or we just want to keep you. We don't want to let you hit free agency. Let's get a deal done. So those things there'll be a couple of those will filter into over the next 6 days. So
there are a lot of players that all of a sudden, you didn't think were going to be available, but now got released because of cap reasons too. Like teams are trying to get, below the cap, right? And a lot of these players have been cut.
Yeah, you saw Seattle yesterday. They released the tight end Will Dissly, and then they're basically front two safeties, which I don't like any of them really. Quandre Diggs, like 3 years ago, I liked him, but Jamal
Adams,
miss me with that. Like, that doesn't move, as I tweeted yesterday, and none of those guys move the needle for me at all. But yeah, there'll be more releases, as we know. Agent 69 upcoming over the next week. That stuff's going to happen because the Packers, as Brian said, we'll have enough money to do whatever we want if we want to do it this year in free agency. So right now they've got about 13 mil. They need a lot more than that if they want to get in the mix on some of this stuff, Tay.
Yeah, it's interesting because the league tampering window starts next Monday.
You got it.
So you're going to hear probably some of those big names come off the board right away. And some of these other, like for us, we're targeting some of these free agents that we've had. Like maybe we already know we're going to do it, so it comes out. Or you just be like, we're not doing it, so you can get out there now. And push them along. But a lot more information will come out Monday, obviously, and then starting Wednesday, let's get it done. But I just feel like now, yes, news came out this week. There's a lot more definitive players out there that are available to us, to everybody, really.
Yep.
And one thing that kind of shocks me is all of a sudden. We talked about a few weeks ago safeties for the Packers. That was our free agency target, right?
That was our first free agency visit.
Yes,
when we started,
because that was
players.
A big
safety
need.
Edge. We hit the running backs. Yeah, we haven't addressed the cornerback piece, and we really won't. Yeah, but that was the big one. So
and now all of a sudden. There's a ton of free agents, a ton of picks that the players that the Packers can try to go after if they like them. It's plentiful now. Boom, a big safety boom. But then I think this is great for the Packers, and it is. But I take myself out of the Packers' perspective for a little bit and say, all these other teams are going to be in that position now too. Like they're cutting people. They need to fill those spots. How is a team like Seattle going to fill their safety room now? What, they just going to draft or phone it in and be like next year, I guess? What do those teams do?
And there's a ton of teams that need some safety help, Tay.
Yeah.
And suddenly this is a devalued position, but there are not enough of them. And I don't know if you heard post-combine, this safety class only got worse after the combine. I mean, you saw guys like Cam Kitchens out of the University of Miami essentially could have been a day 1 pick. He's potentially now a day 3 pick tag.
Yikes!
Round 4.
That's the risk of the combine.
I mean, the guy underperformed pretty much at almost every metric. So he didn't do himself any. So the Packers draft in the second round, people will be like, "What?" Because Brian doesn't do that because the relative athletic score grade for him is not good. So you're talking about a weak draft with the safety position. And now we have a bunch of guys hitting the market. The Packers got to do some work. They got to bring in a safety next week, and I think they will. But this thing got crazy because obviously we saw the tag with guys like Winfield Jr., which we knew was going to happen anyway. We talked about that. When we first talked about these guys, these really high-end guys, it wasn't likely they're going to hit the market. He's not. I mean, why would Tampa Bay let a guy like that get out of the building? They're not. Just like we talked about when we started looking at some of them as well. That day when we went through safety as our free agency topic on episode 260, I think, Kyle Duggar likely wasn't going to be one of those guys that was going to be a guy, and he got the transition tag. So that means New England can match any deal he gets out in the open market if they want. So, and I think that gives him a number if he comes back at like 13 mil, which is a lot for a safety. And the one guy I talked about, one of the guys I really liked, Xavier McKinney, he now did not get tagged, and he kind of moves up the board to like, bam, number one targeted free agents safety in free agency. So that pushes his value up probably too high for the Packers' blood. But what are some more thoughts before I keep going on this safety binge here, Tay?
The Packers are never going to be, they're never going to overpay for these guys. It's just not going to happen. Like, even if like there was a stud out there, it's just not the Packers' way. So you can just kind of like not put the Packers in those conversations ever. Guys like McKinney would love, that would be great. That would be awesome, but it's just not going to happen. There are a lot of guys now on the free agency openings, I guess you could say, for the Packers to look at for safety. And I love that. So that's what I anticipate the Packers going after at least one veteran safety that can start right away, right? You don't want to not have a starter. That's the whole point of getting someone, acquiring them in March. But then I think they're gonna pick up someone in free agency, and then they're gonna draft a safety, in at least one safety in the draft, and that's kind of, I think, where they're gonna go with this. They've got Johnson Jr., right?
That's it. Anthony Johnson Jr. is technically the only safety on the roster at this point.
Yeah. So, and I don't mind them bringing.
You could bring back a Rudy Ford on a vet.
Yeah.
Men, we know Rudy can play some teams, as they call it nowadays, Tay.
And even if Owens wants someone,
you could bring Mr. Biles back. Yeah. I mean, he brings Simone along with him, so that's a plus. But I see it like that too, Tay. I mean, I think they're going to end up with a pretty solid free agent signing.
Yeah.
I think down the road, as the bargain bin hits, a couple weeks, another vet kind of mid signing guy, and one that's going to be drafted in probably day 2, day 3. Again, based on the weakness of this safety draft. So
if you get a high profile safety in free agency right away, when you get to that point, that bargain shopping one, why don't you just get Owens back, get Rudy Ford back at that
something
point.
like
it's
that.
just like, why not get those guys back anyway? Like,
they don't know your system technically, because systems change.
They know the building, they know the guys,
but they know some of the process. Yeah.
So I would rather see those two back than pay the equivalent for someone else that has to be brought in. But again, Hafley's kind of leading this charge here. You kind of have to default to say, like, whatever, I guess, if the moves that they're going to make, you kind of have to be reflected, back on him. The Packers would say, okay, Hafley, make some decisions, have some input. So you have to trust that process and let that ride out for a little while to say, like, okay, Hafley's trying to get his guys. Let's see what he can do with that.
Right.
Because ever since the hire, I mean, we've talked about it here on the podcast, but all these guys are coming out of the woodwork to say how good Hafley is and how well respected he is and great coach he is and teacher. So I guess that is our advantage, that he can go out there and find those guys that will play for him. So,
and we know the safety room needs to be remade. I mean, and it's an important thing. They're going to need to triple dip there in some way in the combination of the draft and free agency. But there was one on an episode this week that Peter Bukowski brought up, and I thought it was a really smart piece of thought with regard to how Hafley's defense, a la the Salah defense and the Niners way they've done it. And then he went out to the Jets, essentially doing the same thing with a 4-3 defense. And that is really the defense all begins and ends with that front line. And if you're not getting pressure, you got a problem. But when you do, and the defense does what it's supposed to do in the system with the way it's meant to be played, a la the Niners, be it how they do it in New York or out in San Francisco, and your guys do get pressure, it takes a lot of pressure off the back end. So your back end guys, your safeties, your cornerbacks do look better by default, right?
Yep.
Because if you guys are, your D line's getting home, so that may be even a more important piece for the Packers. And when he kind of brought it up, the when I started thinking about it, I mean, like that makes a ton of sense. It's still important the Packers remake this room, right? Because they need to. I mean, they were, like we talked about probably 5-6 episodes ago, they got through the season with Band-Aids and they happened to work this year.
Yep.
And you can't do that twice.
Right.
It's unlikely. So yeah, you got to remake it, but you also have to look at where you're also going to prioritize maybe some other draft picks going D-line maybe earlier than we would have thought, and edge and other things to make sure, again, you're getting home to make the job on the back end easier for those guys. With the Xavier McKinney piece, interesting, they say that legal tampering is the 11th. It's amazing how those contracts are already, you hear them on the 11th coming through, like going to be signed on the 13th. But like Xavier McKinney today tweets, starting to see this life shit from a bird's view. Is he referring to potentially signing with a team with a bird on the helmet, Tay?
Huh.
I kind of wonder when things get to Monday, he's going to be one of the ones you hear a deal is pretty much in place somewhere. I don't think it's going to be in Green Bay because I think he's going to get 12, 13 mil a year, which isn't crazy money, but for a safety, it's damn good money. And somebody's going to pay it to him.
Yeah.
And if there's a bird on the side of the helmet, I want to say the legal tampering period isn't long enough yet because this dude's already got people, in his ear going, this is where you're going. This is where you're getting paid. And this is where I want to go. So,
you would think that's Seattle doing that or the Eagles?
Eagles
or the
Baltimore.
Cardinals?
Could be Baltimore.
I mean, because I'm saying Seahawks is because they just lost to.
Could be Atlanta. Yeah. I mean, a lot of birds out there, Tay.
A lot of birds.
A lot of birds in the NFL. I don't like any of them bird teams, Tay.
No?
I don't care for them.
Yeah, I would say I don't either. Well, yeah, all those.
My wife said that like this year. She's like, I don't like bird teams.
Bird
like, what do you got against birds? Like, I just don't like the bird teams. I'm like, all right, I'll go with that. But that was kind of interesting. But there's certainly going to be a lot of other decent safeties that are available, and I think the Packers will get a decent one. But you're talking, you've got names like Cameron Curl, which I think is, not just a decent but pretty good safety option. Geno Stone, speaking of bird teams, Jordan Fuller, we talked about on the episode. Quandre Diggs, we mentioned, released this week. Julian Blackmon, Darnell Savage. So there's some guys out there, Tay, that the Packers could pick up that would make some sense.
What about Jordan Poyer?
Jordan's seen some better days. He's 33, Tay, I want to say. So the Packers do like to release guys because technically, you could do whatever you want with them. I don't think you lose any comp pick stuff or something like that. So potentially, I mean, when you're looking at vet safeties, I mean, I don't know what Jordan Poyer has left in the tank. What he's playing like at this point, and what he's played like the last couple of years. Unfortunately, don't follow the Bills.
Micah Hyde's also out of the Bills too. I just, like I said last week, I really think that the Packers can just buy a 1 to 2 year safety here. They can draft and maybe bargain shop for a younger vet that has is mid 20s that can come in and fill that role and target someone. But I think we're gonna buy the next 1 or 2 years with just one person,
and maybe like a Cam Curl and a Jordan Poyer. That's on a more vet deal. That's a pretty good remade safety room right there. And you pick one up in the 3rd round. You go, okay, I'll live with that.
And then Johnson Jr., who's not terrible. He's decent. So I just think that's the way to go.
Learn up the new D. I think that's you got Ross Uglum's. He put out a nice little list today. You got it out in front of us. If you would like to read them off, but
he's some of the names that you've already mentioned: McKinney, Fuller, Curl, Diggs, Stone, Gardner Johnson, Blackmon, Gibson, Elliott, and Whitehead. I don't know. I think the Packers know out of that list, and others, that who they want to target, and they will.
And why so many safeties hitting free agency, safeties being released? Safety is a wasteland, but yet now all these teams have needed safety.
I know.
And the draft this year sucks at safety.
That's what gets me.
So it's what's going on here? We're just going to have you go over here to us. We'll love you now as our safety. You leave us. You be somebody else's, problem. It's like this swapping girlfriends. Like we're done with you now. You be ours.
It kind of reminds
safety
me.
stuff this year is nuts, man.
It reminds me of the coaching carousel that continues to happen in the NFL. I mean, now it's getting a little better. More young blood is entering and being chosen over retreads, but that coaching carousel that happens almost every year that we've seen for decades. It's kind of like this with the safeties this year, but. The safeties, maybe it's a devalued position now. They're just not like, we're going to go young here. We're going to draft and we're just going to pick up people.
Great.
Undrafted.
Draft, but when the draft sucks this year and the combine tells you the draft sucks, I mean,
that's a narrative that might not be true. We don't know that for sure. Yes.
Time will tell, but the reality is, there's not going to be a run on safeties and, day one and early day two of the draft. There's just not, because there's not that quality talent. That's not to say guys that are picked in the 4th, 5th, 6th round don't turn out to be all pro safeties. I mean, that very well could happen too when you get to look at this thing, 4 years from now. But it's just it's really a weird year with these safeties in general with regard to free agents and the draft.
And, we're talking a lot about the safety position because it's a hole on our defense that, we've kind of not neglected last year. We just kind of patched it up, and we need to take care of it now. Like this, it's becoming an issue. It's not like we have all these guys coming back. We don't. So it's a position of need. And then when you look across the board on the defense as a whole, I mean, you have starters at defensive line. You still have 3 edge rushers that can play the game right now. Preston Smith, Gary, Van Ness, like those are your top rushers. Coupled with the defensive line, which you have starters there. You have starters at linebacker. So you have that. Then you get into cornerback safety, and all of a sudden
you get to that D back room.
It's bleak,
not great.
So that's why we're talking about this. That's why it's important. That's why it gets the focus of all this media attention and ours, of course. But I just think out of all this talk we've been doing, I'm excited to get someone that we like. Because I remember when Savage and Amos were back there, I was happy when that first couple of years that they were there. I was stoked
that first
about
year in 19 when Savage, when Amos came in, he was still, prime NFL safety. He was damn good. I'd love to have 2019 Adrian Amos here. That'd be great.
That was fun back then.
He's not 2019 Adrian Amos anymore. So
that was fun. That was a time when we were like, holy crap, the safety position is taken care of. We don't have to think about it for a little while. And we're back there again.
Big time, because it's a wasteland.
Let's move on a little bit. Ren, John Runyon Jr., there's a little news about him.
Yeah, a little scuttlebutt in the universe with regard to maybe like mutual interest now, Tay.
It's mutual interest in both sides wanting to come to a deal so he remains on the Packers. And that's what Matt Schneidman reported, that he switched his agent to Drew Rosenhaus, which...
Also, Aaron Jones' agent,
which is a lot of players, and that was for a long time. I think that was
he was back in the day. This is a long time ago now, like 15 years ago. He was the NFL agent. Not the case anymore. He's still a name, but
it wasn't a team.
Not the same
it wasn't
thing.
A team friendly agent. I think
he was not.
It was when that happened, and it's still it's my first reaction is, ooh, Drew Rosenhaus. Oh, that's not good. That's not
back
good.
in the day. Yeah, we're like, oh god, we got to deal with this schmuck
because he's just like a shark, right?
Yeah,
and it's like never works out for the team.
And I think it was always like he hates the Packers.
Yeah, right. So when I first heard that, but it's like, okay, well, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Hold the phone. Like Aaron Jones, who's taken a pay cut at least once.
Aaron
already.
Jones loves being a Packer, wants to be a Packer, Tay. Yeah. But we also had that kind of emergency, non-emergency right after we did the podcast last week. Like suddenly we get to Friday and people are putting out podcasts like,
Jesus.
Could the Packers release Aaron Jones?
I was
then Tom Silverstein, he wrote the original article.
Yeah.
And so the fire got started there, and then he goes back out onto the socials like,
wait.
Because he said if the deal doesn't get done, the Packers would release Aaron Jones. He's like, no, could, but it's unlikely to happen. So like he had to like backtrack that thing, and Tom is awesome. He's been around forever, but he realized like just verbiage is that slippery sometimes. Like if you just a W versus a C makes the whole thing get into frenzy. And apparently it sounds like in the last 24 hours, I heard like behind the scenes, like they're trying to work out a deal, obviously lower his cap, which is this year $17.6 million. They can't can't ride with that, Tay. And still yet, he's basically got 1 year left on his deal with, I think, a junk year deal after that, the push the money down the cap deal with the dead cap year.
Kick the can down the road.
Kick can year on there. So I think they're actually trying to get a 2-year deal done at the moment. It sounds like that's what I'm hearing. So it'll obviously reduce that number this year, and he'll be a Packer the following year. And then, we'll see if the Aaron Jones thing finally, peters out.
Fizzles off. I was, man, I just kind of like put my hands in my face, put my head in my hands that day, and I was just like, really, this has happened again. There's always like one story that blows up in the offseason that is just ridiculous, that gets everybody's jockstrap in a bunch, and I am not convinced Tom does this unintentionally. I think he's the type of guy that puts out these stories that have factual basis somewhere, and it either he twists it, he puts it on a trajectory that can be taken out of context, or he's just like, I'm just giving you guys this information, and then here you go, you guys do what you want. But this one went bad fast because everyone was like, what? They're going to release Jones, and it just blew up. And I'm just like, really, guys, like, think about it. Like, use your head here. They're not going to do that. And I guess in a way I blame Tom. I'm like, come on, dude. Like this, you guys do this all the time. The old veterans of the media, beat writers, they do this. And
hey, one of those guys is our friend here.
I know.
Be nice,
but
sometimes
not in this
maybe
way, though.
Is
not
this
in this
Tom's
way.
fault? I don't know. I don't think it is, but I think there's so much that's left for interpretation. That's why he went back out and made sure that don't interpret this the wrong way, but understand. And I agree with him that the Packers don't want to carry $17 million for Aaron Jones this year. They don't, and that's fair. And as a result, there could be that chance. I think that people nowadays, especially, and I don't think it's necessarily Tom's fault. Anytime an article goes out, it goes out to the socials. Packer fans that just eat this crap up, dude. Anything.
Yeah.
I mean, some people even listen to this podcast today. That's how much people want content, right?
No way.
Yes. So, and that's what it's about. So if you just kind of do some things without fully thinking like, oh, I wrote this didn't write this exactly the right way I should have, and you don't mean to, it's just bam, like then people are on it fast.
Yeah.
That's the way the world works today, man.
Yeah, it's the way that the social media reaction happens, and it's just, cause I'm like, oh my God, shaking my head. Just,
Aaron Jones can,
really?
he's beloved, Tay.
He is. And he's gonna be back.
He's our beloved Green Bay Packer right now. Like there is no more beloved Green Bay Packer than Aaron Jones.
No, not playing right now. He's gonna be the next Leroy Butler, Donald Driver, Aaron Jones. Like those.
That is
three.
You hit
Boom.
that ding ding ding. I love that comparison.
Those are our boys.
Those guys. He is one of those guys. He's gonna be coming back here forever and a day.
Yep.
He can't do anything wrong.
Nope.
He is that Packer. He is beloved. Yeah,
and
he'll be
rightfully
doing it
that
all.
dude's
Yeah, for sure.
amazing.
He's awesome. We love
Amazing.
Aaron Jones.
The other one thing that Goody said, I think it was last week, he said that whatever happens at the running back position, we still want a power running back.
I think he's full of crap.
He
wants
said this.
another back. Like, you don't need a cold weather back. Somebody said it well this week. No, listen, Aaron Jones played amazing down the stretch, and he's a tiny back in the cold weather. No. Yeah. And by the way, Andy Herman went with my take. The one back he'd like to see as a free agent if they brought one in.
Who?
He went with Antonio Gibson.
Okay.
Like the Wren here did last week.
That's right.
I'm like, Andy must have been listening. He must have.
I think so.
He's like, I like Wren's take. Yep. I like his pick.
Some things kind of turn out that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes after we record and we publish, I hear things that we have said.
Man, Ren is
first.
He's on it. Boom. On it.
So we have Emmanuel Wilson on the roster, and I think he can. He's developing. He's coming up. Jury's out on what kind of type of player and whether he can be relied on. That's still yet to be decided. But AJ's, in all intents and purposes, gone. I just don't see how we can bring him back, or we're going to bring him back. I think they're fine with that.
Yeah, there was some show I listened to on metrics, and he was like, it was pretty bad out of 35 out of 35 running backs, and so many of the metrics. Like AJ Dillon just doesn't.
I mean, awesome.
He
dude,
doesn't move the needle.
Awesome guy.
Yeah, we love AJ.
He's not. He's just. It's not going to work out. But the fact that Goody says, there's still a room for a power back on this roster. I just I kind of shake my head and say, well, he's blowing smoke.
Or suddenly, come Wednesday morning, you've got Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, signed, and you're like, I guess he was right.
I'm not a fan of Derek's. I don't really want him around.
Too many miles, man.
If there was a veterans minimum, okay,
I'm a fan of
fine.
Derrick Henry like 7 years ago. I love that. Putting that guy on my team.
Saquon, sign me up.
I know you like some Saquon. Again, I think Gibson's the cheap, good option, similar style back. He's a good receiving back. I like give me 2 Aaron Joneses. He's like, to me, he's just been a little injury prone, but Aaron Jones. Just give me another Aaron Jones kind of light guy.
So hope one of them.
Give me Aaron Jones kind of light guy. Go draft another guy in the 2nd or 3rd round, and let's go.
The reason I'm a fan of Saquon is because I think he has talent. I just don't see him. He's going to get a big deal somewhere. And the rumor, as I saw today, there's 2 rumored reports, Ren, of him. It's independent rumors of him going potentially to the Bears. And when I heard that,
the Bears,
I was like, that sucks. And I think that's why.
Why the Bears suck, Tay?
I know, but like
Saquon, he likes to get injured, so he'll fit right in there.
You got to worry about that a little bit when a good player goes to a team in the North. Yeah,
Bears suck, Tay.
Okay, well, I'm just saying if he goes there,
they're going to take this year's arguably one of the best quarterbacks available in the draft the last couple of years, and it still won't work out.
Flush him down the toilet.
Yeah.
So
don't worry, Tay. The Bears haven't done much that's done good for them for 35 years, 40 years. Don't worry about it.
Here's what I'm thinking about the running back situation here. This is the last thing I'll say about it on this episode. Goody says he wants a power back. I just think you go and you can invest in a fullback. You get a fullback that you take off DeGuara, you take off the fullback that you have now, get rid of him. You got one spot. Get a fullback. Run the fullback in a typical fashion, like everyone has in the past. And maybe he's got some hands, like a William Henderson. And if you want that power back, short yardage guy in the winter, that's your guy. Just use him. What's wrong with that?
I like Henry number 1. Henry Pearson. I think he's as good, decent fullback.
But he's not. Has he seen the field much at all?
No.
Like who? What number is he?
But maybe Brian is just laying down a little smoke screen. Yeah, I really like that. I like that deal on Gibson kid.
But I need a power back.
And the draft picks too. He's like, I'm going with that smaller guy out of Texas or Tennessee and blah blah. That's what I'm doing. So who knows? I mean, guys say a lot of things just to say stuff. I don't know. Sometimes there's actual meaning to it. Sometimes there's not. Especially when they're saying it to the public. They're like, you think Brian wants to here, read my tea leaves.
Yeah.
League. Right, here's my stuff. This is what I want. I think he's full of shit. But
the tag wasn't put on Josh Jacobs either out of the Raiders, and that was kind of a name you threw around for a little while.
No, I just said those back of the jersey name guys. It's going to be the kind of upfront guys, the Josh Jacobs, the Saquons, the Derrick Henrys. They generate buzz because they have a name, but they're really Tony Pollard's. I mean, I like Tony is back, but
Josh Jacobs on the Packers, yes or no?
No.
Tony Pollard,
yes.
Okay.
Now, am I going to pay Tony Pollard money? No, I'm not, Tay. No, I'm not.
Saquon Barkley.
Nah.
Okay. What about Russell Wilson as their backup?
Mr. Unlimited.
Coming back to Wisconsin.
Mr. Unlimited. That guy is such a train wreck that the Denver Broncos are like, you know what? We're going to eat $85 million. No, they're not doing it all in 1 year. There's ways they can break that up in 2 years. But still, it's like the biggest dead cap ever. That just tells you how hard he is to work with and that he's probably done. And Seattle knew it. And the fan this morning, Rookie and Bill, were talking about biggest busts or whatever issues or guys. And I sent them an email, which they didn't read, Tay.
Boo.
Just because, no, it's just a quick one, but they're talking about Russell, and he's always been such a kind of, just kind of annoying guy, right? Ever since he left Wisconsin. He's only gotten more annoying through the years and weird and thinks he's super self-important. But do you remember like when he got the concussions and then he had the water that he like sponsored or whatever, and it had the nano bubbles, and the nano bubbles cured his concussion symptoms or something, or like made his brain right. And I just tweeted like, you guys remember nano bubbles? LOL. Oh God, like Russell Wilson, he's just a piece of work, that guy today.
I think there's two forces at work here. I think one of them was the movable object, Russell Wilson. But I think bringing Sean Payton in was you're asking for trouble. I think with that guy too, bringing him in.
Well, Russ was running the show, and I think that's what they also got sick of in Seattle. He's like, it's too, again, the self-importance piece. But he's just too big in his head.
I will be proved wrong if Sean Payton can now progress and get better and bring the Broncos back into relevance. If that happens, I will eat crow. But I think that guy's got his own issues.
Oh, me too. I wouldn't
want him as my coach.
They gave up draft picks to get that guy.
Ridiculous.
So they did that. They did Russell the year before, then they do that, and now they got so much cap to eat the next 2 years. Like, it's going to take at least 3, if not 5 years to get to a point where you're competitive. Like, that's just a dumpster fire. I mean, I guess if you're Sean Payton, you take the money and it's good livings and you go retire in a few years afterward. But yeah, my God, I guess what a mess they are.
When you think about those things and how teams can just derail and train wreck their own future with certain decisions, it just makes me, I guess, appreciate what we have here in Green Bay and how we go about things. I'd rather go super conservative and play the slow game.
But isn't it nice to be on the outside talking about drama now?
Oh, heck yeah.
People were talking like this about, like, what are they doing there? This guy said he was never playing again, and now they just give him a $150 million extension, and then now he's going into a retreat. Now they might trade him again? What is going on with these guys? And here we are a year later, and you're like, oh, I was just talking about free agency. Yeah. It's cool. Well, safety is dead.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, good,
man. Nice. It's back to what we're supposed to be doing. I love it. And I wouldn't trade that Aaron drama because of what we had with it, for a long time. I mean, we could be having this drama with Jordan Love in 12 years from now. Who really knows? And so you're gonna say no to that at the jeopardy of now. Like, you're not gonna give up now for a potential future. So at the time, you're like, yeah, give me Aaron. Like, this is great. Let's go. You don't know what the future is gonna hold. So I guess you can't trade those good years with Aaron away. But yeah, that did turn into a shit show.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, we put up with Aaron with a lot of this stuff, and he got weirder over time and weirder. And, now he's just like on Joe Rogan talking about the craziest crap all the time. And just, he's really deep end, jumped into it. You put up with it because there was the opportunity to potentially win Super Bowls. Didn't happen. Came close.
Really close. 3 times.
Should have maybe gotten there, minus a David Bakhtiari injury the 1 year and other random things. But, it is what it is. But, yeah, then eventually just got to be way too old. And you just can't – if you get to a point where, like, literally the potential outcome doesn't outweigh all the other crap. And that's where they got last year.
Do you think he's going to be on the Jets this year?
Oh, of course.
Do you think he's going to be? He's going to be the starter?
No, 100%.
How many games do you think he's going to play?
I think he's going to play in all of them if he can.
Yeah, I mean,
if he doesn't get hurt. But you're talking about a guy who's going to be 41 this year.
What? Throwing the geezer ball.
And if let's say he does, like, breaks collarbone 3rd time. I mean, then at that point it's like,
hang it up, Dave.
I think it's just done.
Yeah. Interesting, very interesting. But I just love the Packers' outlook. I love their strategy here. I think, I think they have historically not been super active in free agency. They've come alive in the last 5 years with that. But this isn't, we're not going to change our ways all of a sudden. Brian's not going to change the way he does things. He's going to make good deals. He's going to go after people that he thinks can really help the team now if he has to pull the trigger on a big deal, like a lot of money. Otherwise, yeah, he's going to bargain shop. He's going to pick up some guys. But they've proved to themselves that they can go young and cheap and still be successful. And that can be dangerous and unpredictable. But at the same time, that can be a lot of fun. And if it works out, you did it the right way.
True, but again, with this draft being as bad as it is with the safety position, there's no way there's not 1 to 2 safeties signed in free agency. There's just not.
Yep.
Will they be the super high end guys? I don't know about that, but there's just no way. I think there'll be, a surprise name next week at whatever position signed that you're like, oh, that guy's a Packer now? Crap. But now break the bank kind of guy, I don't think so.
Today's the 6th of March. We got legal tampering starting this Monday. Probably pretty early. You'll start seeing some stuff. And then you have free agency started on Wednesday, a week from today. I think, like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock officially. But this also means, Ren, that we'll probably hear some news on David Bakhtiari because we were kind of pseudo-promised that by then. So hopefully we'll hear more information about that. And I don't know. I just feel like the way things are going here over the next 5 days, we're going to get more information. We're going to see some other things, maybe more indicators on, on players' social media accounts with their bird tweets, and some indicators about which team might be picking them up or might not. And if it's the Packers, who knows? But I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be fun. Again, kind of like a low pressure. This season, just kind of like, I don't know, ever since Aaron left, it's been just like different, and I love it. And this offseason is good and fun and low pressure because of what we succeeded or we were able to do and the success we had last year with the team we had. So this is great. I hope everyone out there is also feeling the low pressure and just the just having fun with it.
Well, I think it's low pressure because over the years, Tay, we've gotten all used to us Packer fans that, this time of year we're like, it's free agency. We know the Packers don't really do a lot. They bargain hunt. This is not our time.
Yeah.
Once every 10 years they'll splash and you get a couple Smith brothers and an Amos and a Billy Turner, but they've conditioned us, Tay, to know, like, don't get overly excited about the start of the free agent signing period or legal tampering period, because it's probably not going to be what you want. Like, everybody's like, oh God, like the 10-year younger version of us, like, dude, we gotta have McKinney, dude,
anything, do anything.
Dude, Xavier McKinney, oh my God, we gotta get him. And then if we don't, we're all upset. No, this is just BS.
And the Packers aren't teams like the Rams and other teams that just, like, when the free agency starts for them, they froth at the mouth. They're like, well, who are we gonna get? What picks are we trading? What's going on?
Or even sometimes free agents are like Green Bay, where it's cold a lot of the year, or I could go to Miami or LA. Like, that kind of stuff. But
everyone knows you got a chance in Green Bay. You have a chance.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're looking to play football and be successful and play for an organization that cares about football and the product on the field, that's the place to go.
Boom.
And a damn thing to do in Green Bay, Tay.
Nope.
That's exactly right. There's football to be played. That's what there's to be done.
That's right. All right, Ryan. I don't have anything else to talk about. Do you got anything else on your list?
No, I think we hit most of it. I mean, again, we're a week away from this thing being well underway. We're gonna get the Agent 69 news, so maybe we'll break live for that. No, we won't.
No.
But yeah, it's gonna be fun to talk about next week. I look forward to sitting back down and like hearing all the names, the movement, where they went, who they ended up with. There'll be some trades, possibly.
Yeah.
There'll be some definitely interesting things. Fun time of year. That's what it is.
It is.
Maybe not for our football team getting all these crazy guys in with names on the back of the jersey, but still fun nonetheless. So,
well, we appreciate everyone listening and following us and supporting us. We do love it and appreciate it. Thank you so much. Ren, thanks for joining me in studio tonight.
Absolutely, Tay. Until next week, episode 263, Tay. That's a 1 Darnell Savage and 3 new safeties coming up for the Green Bay Packers on the pup list.